This channel was created to provide high-quality resources for players of all levels of interest in gold making in Guild Wars 2. In order to better understand some of the topics covered on this channel, I think it's useful to cover how gold works in Guild Wars 2, how it's different from other games, and how that impacts the terms and approaches that we use for gold making. So that's exactly what this video will do. I'll also give a quick overview of all the major gold making methods in the game from the perspective of someone who's done all of them enough to earn thousands of gold from each one. I just want to start off with a disclaimer for newer players or for players that are just getting into gold making. There's only a couple things in Guild Wars 2 that actually require gold. So if this video or this channel makes Guild Wars 2 seem like a grind fest, you should know that it isn't. You can have a really good time with this game while paying minimal attention to gold making. This is just one of the areas of the game that I have the most fun with and one that I'm actually qualified to talk about. With that said, let's get into the video. First, I'll explain the terms for the different types of gold in Guild Wars 2 because they can be confusing to players who haven't used them before. The first type of gold is raw gold, also known as wallet gold. This is what most players think of when they hear the word gold and is simply the amount that you see when you open your inventory in-game. The second type of gold is liquid gold. This term refers to the combination of raw gold and the value of anything that can readily be turned into gold, such as trading post orders that you could cancel, the contents of your material storage, and any other items that you could list on the trading post. The convention for most items is to value them at 85% of the trading post price, which we'll talk about later. The last type of gold is total gold value. This term refers to the combination of liquid gold and the estimated gold value of anything that can be indirectly converted to raw gold, like wallet currencies or account-bound items that could be traded indirectly. When people give gold numbers for things like farming or doing daily activities, they usually provide the total gold value, because those activities can give wallet currencies that can be indirectly converted to gold. Total gold value should not be confused with account value, which is something you'll find on GW2efficiency.com. Account value includes your liquid gold and all of your account-bound unlocks. It's a completely different term, and we don't use it for gold making. The reason we use different terms to quantify gold is because Guild Wars 2 is fundamentally different from most other multiplayer games. While most other multiplayer games give large amounts of raw gold to players for completing content, in Guild Wars 2, completing content rewards you primarily with crafting materials and other items, with raw gold being dropped in small amounts or only from certain sources. Based on this reward structure, it's more accurate to evaluate your account based on either liquid gold or total gold value, as opposed to raw gold alone. When you look at the game through this lens, you'll see that most activities in the game produce at least a few gold per hour, with many that produce significantly more. Unless you're just role-playing, doing the story, or something along those lines, you'll be earning gold in some form, so you don't really have to focus on gold making unless you want to. To make the most of what you earn, it's important to think about your goals in the game and what items you'll need to accomplish them. Target farming single specific items in Guild Wars 2 is usually not very efficient, but thinking a bit ahead and holding on to important items can go a really long way to reduce the amount of gold that you'll need in the future. The primary reason hoarding materials is so effective in Guild Wars 2 is the incredibly aggressive trading post tax that we have. Items listed on the trading post will incur a 5% listing fee when the item is put up for sale, and a further 10% fee when the item actually sells. This tax helps to regulate and stabilize the economy of the game, so it's not all bad, but you definitely don't want to list an item, get taxed for it, and then realize you need to buy it back later. Think a bit ahead and you'll save a surprising amount of gold in the long run. So now for the players that are interested in focusing on gold making, I'll list off most of the general methods of gold making that we have in Guild Wars 2. One of the big goals of this channel is to cover all of these, so some will get their own videos, some will get parts of videos, and some will get several videos, depending on what's appropriate. Starting off with some of the basics, we have ordinary gameplay. This consists of passive and untargeted gold makers where you're not thinking about the gold that you're making. These include PvP, world versus world, open world, instance content, and festivals, just whatever you enjoy doing in the game. As we discussed earlier, even when you're not trying to make gold, you'll be making a few gold per hour, sometimes even more. The next type is daily gold making. This consists of shorter, easier, or higher gold per hour activities that people specifically seek out for the rewards. A significant portion of most players' income is made up by daily gold makers. Next, we have farming. Farming is a targeted gold making method where you complete specific open world or instance content for a good, consistent, and repeatable gold income. Farming doesn't need to be grindy or boring, you just need to find content that you enjoy completing on a consistent basis that also gives good gold per hour. Getting into some of the slightly more time or gold intensive options, the first one is crafting. Crafting just involves producing an item that is worth more than the materials used to make it. There are two types of crafting. The first one is low profit, high velocity items. This includes things like ascended materials, gear, achievement items, and other things like that. Individually, these items don't profit much, but you can make a lot of them and they're much easier to work with. The other type of crafting involves high profit and low velocity items. The most prominent example of this is legendary weapon crafting, which is a very popular mid-tier method in the gold making community. Crafting also integrates well with a lot of other gold making methods. Next, we have player-to-player trading. This just involves the exchange of gold and items between players outside of the in-game trading post. Depending on how you use it, player-to-player trading can be a very easy and low-risk gold-making tool, or an extremely difficult and high-risk one. Like crafting, player-to-player trading is a good thing to use in conjunction with other methods of gold making. Now for the highest time and gold commitment options. First is trading post flipping. This involves buy ordering items on the left side of the trading post and then relisting them on the right side for a profit. In theory, this is quite a simple method, but when you include the complications of the trading post tax, price fluctuations, volume fluctuations, competing for bids, and the risk of being undercut, this method can get complicated and risky, while often giving lower profit margins than crafting items can. It can also be tedious and time-consuming. However, if you get good at it, it can provide a scalable, raw gold income and can be more hands-off than other methods. Last, we have item processing. This is similar to crafting, except it includes other methods like opening containers and using salvage kits, and the methods can branch off for individual items. Basically, think of a huge flowchart with options for what you can do with every item you get from the previous steps. The best example of this is efficient unidentified gear processing, which is one of the highest gold per hour methods in the game. Item processing typically requires a lot of upfront gold investment, research, and data collection. It's also extremely tedious and you won't find any public resources about it, so it's up to you to do your own research and create your own process. Once again, all these gold making methods will be covered on this channel in one form or another. The videos for these topics will be organized into a gold making essentials playlist as they come out, so you'll be able to get information about all of them all in one place. If you found this video helpful, I'd appreciate you taking a second to give it a like and maybe even subscribe if you want to see those videos in the future. I'm sure you'll be able to find several options that work for you and your playstyle. Thanks for watching.